It's finally time. The OSFM rosters have finally arrived, and we can start our MLB The Show 16 franchise. If you guys haven't seen, I did announce it a while back that we will be doing the Oakland Athletics as our team this year. There will be a link in the description and annotation on the screen to the link to that video where I announced it, and there will also be probably either a comment or something in the description on how to, if you don't know what the OSFM rosters are, how to get them and what they are, because I know a few people don't know what the OSFM rosters are, and I feel bad for those people because these rosters are essential to playing this game every year. So first things first, why did I pick the Oakland Athletics? Well, there's a couple reasons. One, I've always liked the Athletics. Ever since I was younger, I've always thought they had the best jerseys in baseball, still do to this day in my opinion. I've always thought that just the way they run their team is interesting, and ever since, of course, Moneyball, that interest in the way they run their team is skyrocketed for a lot of people because that made it popular. But I've always just enjoyed A's players. I loved their rotation back in the day with Zito and Mulder. But the main reason is because this team is just interesting to use. They're basically in a rebuild phase, although with the Oakland Athletics, you can never really tell in real life if they're actually in a rebuild phase or not. But this team, on paper, is basically in a rebuilding phase, and generally, rebuilds are the most interesting franchises to play, to work with, and to watch, in my opinion. As, well, last year I did the Yankees, which was not as big of a rebuild because they had a bunch of old guys. Last year the Yankees was more interesting to me because of how many old guys they had on the team and how I needed to replace all those old guys and work with the terrible contracts we had and stuff. But it was a bit easier because, well, they're the Yankees and they're just loaded with money. But we are now the Oakland Athletics where we are not loaded with money. We have to Moneyball. I want to keep the Moneyballing thing alive. So that's pretty much why I picked the Oakland Athletics. So let's go over some signings and some trades and who the A's lost in the offseason. I'm sure you're all aware of in 2014 where the A's were a very good team and they tried to make a huge run for the playoffs by basically saying, yeah, screw the entire farm system and trading away everyone. Well, that didn't really work out. They lost Shark, they lost Donaldson, and really the only thing they ever got out of that was a couple prospects for Donaldson. Well, they lost Addison Russell, who is now tearing it up with the Chicago Cubs. And this offseason, the A's made quite a few signings and trades. First things first being they picked up two starting pitchers in Rich Hill and Henderson Alvarez. I believe they're both signed to one-year contracts, while they picked up two relievers in Ryan Madson and John Axford. Madson had a great year with the Royals last year. And while Henderson Alvarez, I believe, was hurt for most of last year, or towards the end of last year with the Marlins, Rich Hill has basically been a non-factor for a while. I don't think he's really done much for the past few years. He used to be a pretty solid mid-tier rotation starter, but not so much anymore as he's getting up there in the years, and the A's are just hoping he can get some decent value out of him. As in this game, he is currently the second best starter on the team. As far as trades go and who they let walk and just all that stuff, Liam Hendriks was picked up in return for Jesse Chavez as he was sent to the Toronto Blue Jays. We got Liam Hendriks in return. And then there was also Mark Zepchinski and Yonder Alonso acquired from the San Diego Padres in return for Drew Pomeranz and prospect Jose Torres. While there was also Jed Lowry was traded to the Houston Astros in return for prospect Brendan McCurry, as Jed Lowry is making his second stint with the Oakland Athletics. This will be the third year he plays for this Oakland team. As far as the losses go, Brett Lawrie is definitely considered a loss because they just did not get really anything out of him. For Brett Lawrie, they sent him to the Chicago White Sox in return for J.B. Wendelken, a relief pitcher, and then a starting pitcher, Zach Irwin. Neither of them really have too much value. They're not top-tier prospects. They're not anywhere near the top of the A's top prospects list. They're just not very good prospects, as they pretty much just gave up Brett Lawrie because I guess he didn't have a very good year last year, and he didn't really have much trade value. And then Evan Scribner was traded to the Seattle Mariners, a relief pitcher, in return for a minor league. On the scouting reports I've seen, he is a almost major league ready relief pitcher in Trey Cochran Gill, but in this game he's like a 50-something overall, so we kind of got shafted on that end too with this trade. In the game, that is. Ike Davis and Craig Gentry basically got hurt last season and lost their jobs to younger, cheaper options. In Craig Gentry's case, it was Billy Burns, and in Ike Davis's case, it was Mark Canha. So, no real reason to keep those guys around, so Gentry ended up just signing with the Los Angeles Angels, so he's in division. We'll be seeing him quite a bit this year. And then also Ike Davis, he just no reason to keep him around. The A's will also be heading into the season with a bit of injuries, as Henderson Alvarez will be out until late May around, as he's recovering from 2015 shoulder surgery. Felix Dubronz is going to be out all season as he got Tommy John at the start of 2016. Sam Fuld is a shoulder strain. He won't be out too long, though. He'll be mid to late April, so basically we'll play like 10-15 games and he'll be back. But we do have quite a deep outfield of just kind of like bottom tier good, high tier average players. So Sam Fuld falls somewhere in there, but we don't really need him on the roster right now. So unless someone gets hurt, Sam Fuld will probably just be playing in AAA once he returns from injury. While Eric Sogard has a neck strain and what MLB.com lists as loose bodies in left knee, whatever that means, and as the update of April 16th says, he is likely to opt for his left knee surgery, so he's probably going to be out for a significant period of time. And now the biggest points for this Oakland Athletics franchise are, one, the biggest one, being Sonny Gray is the future. We will be building around Sonny Gray. He is the reason this team is going to flourish in the future. Sonny Gray is our franchise, basically. Josh Reddick is in the last year of his contract, so basically we'll have to make a decision at the end of the year. If he wants too much money, screw it, he's going to be gone. If he has a great season and we can't afford to let him lose, we can't afford to let him walk despite him not being very good against left-handed pitching, like, at all. He hits, like, bottom of the order, basically, because he's got, like, 40 contact, 40 power, maybe even lower, to be honest. But we are going to have to make a decision on Josh Reddick end of the year, and then the last point is Billy Butler's contract. What the hell? So, Billy Butler, as I'm sure you're aware, was a pretty good Kansas City Royals player. He came to the Oakland Athletics, and he's just not very good. He's got the appeal to the crowd, I guess, because of the whole country breakfast nickname. He appeared in that commercial for the A's. But he's just not a very good player, and he got signed to a pretty dumb contract. So we're going to have to figure out what we're going to do with that, if we're just going to keep it on our bench and let him just be unhappy for a while, or if we're going to find a way to, I don't know, trade him for like a prospect, or not a prospect, maybe like a reliever or something, because you can't really get too much out of a bad veteran DH who can't really do much other than hit. And even that, he's not very good at that anymore. And before the season started, the Athletics went out and they released 2 players in the minor leagues, the first one being RJ Alvarez, a relief pitcher, technically the worst relief pitcher in the organization, and they also released a 31-year-old infielder who's still in Double-A named Josh Rodriguez to open up spots on the organization, for the first man being Tim Lincecum. Tim Lincecum is going to be signed to a 2-year contract to hopefully provide some starting rotation depth other than having Eric Surkamp as our 5th starter. We're going to have Tim Lincecum being able to be like our 3rd, 4th guy in the rotation. Hopefully he can return to at least some flashes of the old San Francisco Giants ace that he was in previous seasons. The other guy we have signed is Jose Miguel Fernandez, who is a 75 overall B potential second baseman. He's 27 years old. He's basically a good contact hitter, a good bat. He's a decent fielder, and he's going to be starting the year in AAA to prove that he's good enough to hit in the major leagues, and then hopefully call him up if you have a spot ready for him, maybe a month or so into the season. So with that being said, it's going to wrap things up here for this first episode of the Oakland Athletics franchise. This was just the introduction episode, as the next episode you'll be seeing, which will be later today. This should be up around 2 o'clock in the afternoon Eastern Standard Time, and then opening day broadcast. That's right, the broadcasts are back. Prospect profiles will be back for the series as well. So the opening day broadcast will be out around 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I think. So, you'll be seeing 2 Oakland Athletics franchise videos today, possibly even 2 tomorrow, I'm not sure. But, with that being said, I've been your host, Jerseyborn, and I'm saying, goodbye.